Hello everyone, welcome to the Chinyamboyo podcast for the 4th season for Akili Dada. With me, I have 4 amazing ladies who will be hosting this podcast with me, and I'll introduce them, starting with Phoebe.
So, hi, I'm Phoebe Mbedi, and I'm really glad to be part of, this amazing space with other young women. Like, it just feels good sometimes to be in this space. So, I'm from a civic space. I've been working with NGOs for the past, I think, around 6-7 years. And my major area of work that I'm passionate about is advocacy, social accountability, just holding duty bearers, people who are supposed to be accountable. I can always say I'm a feminist. I've started my feminism journey 2-3 years ago, so I'm passionate. I'm still growing in this space. And also I'm a member of All African Rising movement. So yeah, I'm glad to be part of here and to enjoy the space.
Hello everyone, I'm Abigail Mwende Malelu Itao. I'm a mother to 2 boys. I'm also a wife. I'm a teacher. I teach history and religious studies. In addition to that, I'm a gender scholar. I'm very passionate about gender issues. As a gender scholar, I'm very passionate on youth and women affairs, more so on women empowerment. I'm so glad to be part of this discussion, to be able to look at ways in which you can be able to increase protection to the adolescent girls and the young women. Very glad and humbled to have been invited by Akili Dada, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Ivy Nzioka. I mostly work in the tech space. Really excited to be here and have this conversation started. Yeah.
Welcome. And I'm your host. I am Purity Nekesanjuguna, a university student pursuing diploma in human resource management. And this is the Wasichana Wa Afrika Summit, and we'll start our discussion. Welcome. So our question today, ladies, welcome. We're dealing with how the public spaces where we feel that girls are not safe nowadays. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to know from all of you, because you're experts, we'd like to know your experiences, what you other people there are going through, and what you'd advise for them to do. We can start with either of you.
Okay. So public spaces that we mostly or I'd speak about that are sometimes not so safe is sometimes a workspace, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when you actually think about it, for a very long time, women never used to work, let alone even actually have a job, right? Never, even there was a time women could not even, vote. And now women are coming into the marketplace, and it's kind of like not very comfortable. So those are some of the places that I'd speak that are not so comfortable, and it's both for professions that are mostly male-dominated, or even, spaces that are also even women-dominated. So those are some of the examples I do have of public spaces that are not so safe. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me, when I hear about public space, it's a lot of things. Mm-hmm. For instance, it's the matatus we board, the buses. Mm-hmm. It's the places we go to school as women. It's where we go to restaurant. Mm. It's a lot of things. It's where we go to hospitals. We have had stories about, young women having issues around protection in even hospitals, which is very interesting. It was in the media. And so public space for me, it's broad, it's general, it's a lot of things. I don't know what you think about it.
Now that you've mentioned the transport sector,
yeah.
When I was a young girl, before the Michuki rules, you'll find that in a matatu you had to stand. And I have one experience that was not good. So you'll find that that's squeezing. Even today when you go to stage, you want to board a matatu, the way you're trying to squeeze in to get in, because maybe it's the rush hours. And you see women, the way they get to be harassed at that point. Also, the other place that I can think about is the recreation areas. For example, parks. I think that places, they're kind of unsafe for young girls. There are people who go there with ill motives, and this can really make the place be unsafe for the girls. Also, as we're talking about places like schools, and more so maybe not in the classroom setup, but in the co-curricular setup. So like, for example, when girls are participating, I don't know if you've seen the Kenya netball team, when they're going to present, you find most people who come to watch, the remarks that are said, the conversation that are during that time because of maybe the sportswear that they have. So you say, as a girl, if you, it can be detrimental to your confidence. So the sporting arena, it's another area that I believe it's come out sometimes to be unsafe to the women.
And also talking about recreation space, it brings me back to social media, which is like, since COVID, it has become so vibrant. We get TikTok, where we engage in every day. I'm always saying that if I'm not working, I'm on TikTok or on Facebook. So these are like public spaces also that, for me, I feel there are spaces that we are not safe as women, young women. Nowadays, we have girls having phones at the age of 10, the age of 5, which makes us so unsafe being in such spaces.
And also we forget about the areas we live in, the community spaces where we live in, because that's also a public space. Depending on where you're living, it doesn't matter whether it's an estate or it's a slum, it's still also a public space. Thank you, ladies, for your comments. And also, I'd like to ask, why do you think the above happens? Why do you think it's not safe anymore?
For me, I'll say, let me go back to something that I've been passionate about for some time, gender-based violence. We all think gender-based violence is more of sexual, but there are so many types of gender-based violence. We see in even our social media. Just a small thing, you're already so much like, there is a lot of conversation going around about it. Maybe you just decided maybe to wear certain clothes, which is, you felt good, you woke up and you're like, oh, I feel so nice in my dress, and you decide, let me take a selfie. Then you post it. It becomes a whole conversation, a whole thing. You even become a meme nowadays out of something that you have posted that was just to make you happy.
I think for me, I think it happens because of some social perceptions and some social kind of like unspoken rules. Because when you think about it, like I just mentioned, right, there's a time our space was just in the kitchen, in the like, just being a homemaker majorly. But right now we are kind of like trajecting into more public spaces, right? Women are just not at home waiting for people to bring food, right? We are the people who are actually going to look for the food. So we're actually a little bit more open than that. And then sometimes also it's, like I mentioned, social perceptions. Ideally, that weird feeling of women working is not very comfortable with us, and it just happens. It actually, and just to speak about some examples, right? Sometimes, because currently I'm also in leadership, right? And then you introduce yourself and you can see, oh, like that shock, like, oh, okay, but you don't know, like, and then they quickly cover it with, oh, it's so amazing to have young women in this such a space, you're in tech, but the initial, you can see that the initial reaction was like, oh, like. But then it's like, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that, but I'm not so sure. But let me quickly cover it up with, you're actually doing good.
So you see, when women now, as she was talking about, as they are moving from the private sphere, coming to the public sphere, you find they face so much rejection, so much opposition, and all that. At the same time, the culture, as human being, we live in a culture, and culture dictates how we speak, how we act, and everything. So you'll be socialized to know that in our culture, a woman is not supposed to speak in a public place. So when a woman now stands out, she's going against the social norms, and therefore everybody tries to bring her down. Okay. So, but I think with education, women have been given that opportunity to be able to come out, to be able to speak, to be able to challenge. The other thing I believe, again, is the toxic masculinity, whereby as a boy is also growing, he's socialized, having some values that are detrimental to a girl. So talking about violence, a girl cannot say no to you, forcing a girl. And also you as a girl, you've not been given that confidence to be able to be assertive in the decisions that you make. So this, I believe, it has really contributed to the situation.
And to add on to what you've said, it's also about the area you've grown up in, especially our families. Now, for now, you have those families, those parents who like tell you this is who you're right, this is what you're supposed to do. But there are also other families who don't tell their girls that. So you grow up knowing, or you grow up in an environment where your mom has to live in a certain way because the dad says they have to.
Yeah.
So in your mind, you know that this is the box I'm enclosed in, and this is how I'm supposed to behave.
Yeah.
So also the environment you grow up in.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Maybe
it's just hard to get out of the box
Yeah.
because you are told to be ladylike, even the way your mom behaves in our home. People don't do some certain courses. It's not ladylike in our homes. You don't dress in a certain way. You don't take some profession, which is so bad. We even get nowadays we have the 2/3 gender role, and still some women don't feel comfortable in some communities doing it because they're like, in my community I'm not even allowed to speak in front of men.
On that basis, maybe on the political arena, many women want to come out. Many women want to be leaders. But as we're just from an election now period, you saw how the campaign periods would go up to late at night. And as a woman, you're late at night, what will happen to you? We also saw that you had to be on top of a car to be able to address a crowd. As a woman, it's you've not been raised. When you are a small girl and you want to climb a tree, hey, you'll be called down. Come down. You're not being a lady. That's not what is expected of you. And now here, for you to be a leader, you have to climb on top of a car to address, because where else will you stand? We've seen, and of course, it will put some fear in you. Again, having to be surrounded by so many bodyguards to protect you. What if you don't have that economical power to be able to employ such security? So you see, even getting to that political arena, because of the way it's unsafe, makes women again to hold back.
True.
Thank you, ladies, for your insight. So
thank
the
you.
next question is, there are other places that you feel safer than other places. There are spaces where, like right now, you feel safer here than you are there.
Yeah.
Is there a certain place like that?
Yeah, especially anything that involves women. Let me give you a personal experience. I think I was doing my applications for a job, right? And ideally it's tech, so you're feeling like it's very intimidating and very competitive, and the organization that I was trying to get into is just that. And they actually, put out the messaging that they're looking for the best of the best. So already that, and they actually see that they only employ the best of the best, right? So it was like really intimidating, right? And I wasn't very sure that I'd even go to that route, and that is even when I was still in school. So for me, what actually prompted me to apply is when they called out a women-only application. That did it for me. I actually applied, and it's actually very, very good for me because it's what shaped my tech career really, really well. And I really love the organization till to date, even after leaving, because it shaped my career to what it is right now. But I feel like I was a bit very intimidated even before I started my application. I even didn't think I'd want to apply there. But the minute they did an all-women application, all women call out, I was like, okay, I think I'm a bit more safer here, So I think that's it for me,
I also think maybe talking about a school setup, the facilities. You feel safer. Like, for example, you go into a school setup and we only have one washroom, both boys and girls. Will that space be safe? No, it won't be safe. So if you go a place and you find that they have demarcated for boys, for girls, that's a bit safer. Even facilities that we may take for granted, just finding that the bin there, So facilities that appreciate women in the space. In the working environment nowadays, we're talking about an area where we remember the last time we had an MP who carried a child in the chamber and she was breastfeeding, trying to pass a message that this environment probably is not woman friendly. Even the lady who was breastfeeding in a hotel, in a public space. And so it's the facilities that an organization or an institution offer, again, goes a long way to make women feel safe. The same way like being inclusivity in terms of disability, women with disability, or even a place where also they have they speak out that we promote gender equality, you'll feel safer there.
Yeah.
And a place also where you'll go and find women are welcome.
Yeah.
And the organization is very keen on the unofficial interactions. You know, that is where most women get to be sexually assaulted. So, like, for example, I know of an institution whereby if you report, it's going to be followed up to the letter, you know, and therefore women feel confident to come out and speak. But in other organizations, you try and complain that my employer is doing this, my colleague is doing this. You get to be victimized, and you're going to be sacked. So an environment that welcomes women to be able to speak up, to be able, they also have reporting mechanisms. You know, you should be able, like most of organizations nowadays, they encourage having what will we call it? A policy on sexual harassment. So if it happens to you, these are the procedures for you to follow. So if you walk into that environment, you'll feel safer. That in case something happens to me here, there are mechanisms that have been put in place to protect me.
For me, I'll say, personally, as a lady, do I feel safe? With all honesty, no, I don't always feel safe. That's the honesty I'll give. But at least I'm appreciating the fact that there are now people coming up trying to make the place safe. There are policies that are coming up trying to make the environment safe for us. I'll give an example of, we had a case back in 2017 of a girl, a child, 6 months old. She was violated by their own stepfather. So is that child safe at 6 months? No, she's not safe. Where? At their own home. So for me, I always say, do I feel safe? Most of the time, no, I don't feel safe. I had an instance just a few months ago. I'm walking with my boyfriend in town, and someone grabs my hand. Like literally, I'm walking holding someone, but someone else is grabbing my hand in town. Open daylight. So do I feel safe? No. We go even to our workplace. People will give excuses. No, this dress was too short. So do I say your pants were too tight for me to start touching you? No, I don't feel safe. You walk in town, maybe you have your own chiffon top. People start staring. Will they stare on men who walk with their vest out?
Not really.
They don't. So do I feel safe? Most of the time I don't feel safe. I'm never safe in the matatu going home. I'm never safe even walking outside my own gate at 9, maybe just to pick someone. I just don't, most of the time, don't feel safe as a young woman. Even when I was in school. You hear whispers, oh, teacher so-and-so did this, teacher so-and-so did this, for good marks, even when we were in campus. It was happening. So do I feel safe? No, I don't feel safe. But yes, again, some of these policies are coming up. They are trying to make the place a bit safe for us. They are trying to navigate around the situation. But again, sometimes there are those loopholes where we want to justify the situation. So, there is this young girl who was found with these, mubabas, and they will try say, the girl was trying to seduce him. No, you are the adult here. Do something. It doesn't matter. She is the child. Do something. So all in all, do you feel safe anywhere? I think for me, that's what I can say, because these spaces have become so tricky. You even go to a restaurant and you just hear someone, what can I say, when they do to you, like, really, do you do that do you see us women doing that to men? Yes, we don't do it. So why do you want to do that? I'm minding my own business. I'm going to grab my coffee and you are busy doing that. It's something that happens nowadays. And about 1 year and a few months ago, we were looking at gender-based violence among girls, adolescent and girls. And we could hear, justifications of, these girls nowadays, they mature so fast. You look at them and everything looks nice. Men also mature very fast. Do we look at everything and say, it's so nice to look at? No, it's not. So the fact is, we as women, I'll say we don't feel safe. I don't feel safe most of the time. And I feel, organizations are coming up also to boost the fact. And I feel, like, for example, the third gender role is also helping a lot. But there is more in the space that needs to be done. We need to be heard. We need to be respected. We need to be given our space to feel free and share and talk. And, you can just put on your nice dress and walk in town. You can put on your heels. I had a friend of mine who was telling me that because she was on heels and the heels were, the way they make noise, and everyone was like, no, you're just trying to attract our attention. But is that the reality? No, I'm just on my heels to feel nice. Yeah.
There's a space you've mentioned that I think we really need to discuss it so much. That is the family space.
Yeah.
It's really unsafe.
Yeah.
If you're on the news, you'll not miss a child having been raped by a relative. And you see these policies you're talking about may not go up there. Even if it's security, the police officer is not in the home. So I believe that about being safe, more on the family and marriage setup is one issue that I don't know how we can ever address it. So the children that we are raising today are very unsafe. Leaving a child at home, if, like the way your mom used to leave you and go to the market. As it is right now, you cannot leave your child outside the estate. Or simple, you cannot. Because there are people who are preying on these children. So the family setup, I believe that is where I can say
it's also not.
It's very unsafe, very, for especially the girl child. Still for the boy child, the society where it is going right now, it's very unsafe. So you find that as parents, you're compelled to just always lock your child in the house. So this child cannot go out and play. If at all they're out, they have to be accompanied by an adult. Because
that
of how unsafe it is.
That you trust.
That you trust. Sometimes you hear, like for us who are now having children, you're even advised against leaving your girl child with the father. You have to be there all the time, protecting this girl. Because of the way the society, yes, we acknowledge the good men, the men who are joining in the spirit of protecting the women, but at the same time, we have those ones. Apart from the family, marriage. Marriage is, again, another place that is a bit unsafe, with what we call intimate partner violence that goes unreported every single day. Because as a woman, how will I go out and report my husband that he has slapped me? You go and tell your mom, he has slapped me because I did this and this. Then your mom's like, just a slap. As we've been beaten, as we've been chased away. And then it's just a slap. It's just a slap. How many women have been told it's just a slap? And as we're talking right now, we're just typing rest in peace. So for me, those two areas is where I believe the safety for women has not yet been achieved and it's a bit ignored.
So what do you do as a girl to feel safe? We can start with Abigail.
That's tricky. What do you do as a girl to feel safe? To me, I believe my voice is the most powerful tool that I can be able to use to be able to feel safe in all public spaces. So, for example, if I feel your remarks are beyond the boundaries of our relation, I should be able to speak out and tell you no. So on the same space, if I feel like you're pushing something to me that I don't want, also I can be able to speak. So I believe women's voice can be a powerful tool that you can use to be able to feel safe with. Okay, so also the way we know victim shaming. So if something happens to you, if you're raped, we know the society has made women to feel that you are responsible. What were you doing at night? What were you wearing? But if women are empowered, so the other tool I believe about being safe again is the empowerment, more so in terms of awareness. So you can know that I wasn't raped because I was wearing this. I wasn't raped because I was late at night. No. I was raped because the other person lacks morals.
Yeah, and I just love what you said about communication. I feel communication is one great tool. We tend to have girls who can't communicate effectively. They'll tell you, I said no, but, sometimes it's just good to be firm with your no. They say it's okay to say the no as long as you have said it, but it's how you compose yourself. Because we have gotten situations where our girls are having issues with their boyfriends, and the boyfriends go ahead and say, I said and she said and she wasn't sure, but you see, say the no and move on. Like, you know what? It's a no, and I'm moving. I'm not still here to listen to your shenanigans, but I'm out of this space. But sometimes some of us don't really mean, like, I don't want to say mean it, we mean it, but also the way we portray it's very, very key.
We're now in actually a safe space where if someone does anything, I can comfortably. So I think just adding to what you're saying, it's just being, assertive, right? And if I said no, and what she said, using your voice, right? My voice is when someone sexually assaults me, I have the right proper channels to use to say no. Because I told you no, that's not right. But no means no. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And as a parting shot, because due to time, we have a little time, we wish we could stay longer. But as a parting shot, just something small. What do we do to make these spaces feel safe for girls?
I think one of you mentioned you involvement in the conversation. Because like the earlier story I gave you of the friend of mine, you realize that maybe there's a high chance, because he was a young man, so there's a high chance where he didn't really know what he's doing is wrong, right? Because these are not conversations, or this is not what, most of the men are usually involved, right? Men have a different conversation when they're being told about how to handle sexuality and even handle females, right? Because I feel like that specific young man was doing it out of knowledge. There's a chance, I'm not entirely sure, but there's a, chance that he did it without his knowledge. So yeah, I think that's it. And then also, like we also mentioned, being assertive as well. And then also, and I think it's also us as women really understanding what our strengths are and being very comfortable with that. Because, there's strengths that men do possess, even physically, that's how they are, but also just being very accepting of, skills that we possess as women, and also personally, right? And just to give you an example, I struggled very, very, very much accepting that communication is actually a good strength of mine, right? Knowing what to say, being able to do stakeholder management, being able to read people very well, and I struggled with that because in my head I'm like, what kind of strength is that? You need like really strong, logical, objective strengths, right? That I can build a robot of some sort. But ideally, it's just being accepting of our strengths also, and being very assertive about them.
And just to pick on what you said, that when a woman speaks, you're called bossy.
Yes.
That is something I think we can start from there. Let's empower women to know when you speak, you're not bossy. It is right for you to speak. Okay? When you take your space and someone says you're arrogant, no. You're just claiming your space.
As long as you've not insulted them.
Don't insult. Okay? So I think let's start with that project of empowering our girls and our women, so that when they go to a meeting, they shy off from speaking, because they'll be like, people will maybe say, I'm not a submissive person. Submissive does not mean that you don't speak out. It will make you miss so many opportunities. So women, come out, okay? And when you're labeled bossy, you tell them, I think it's not bossy. It's the leadership quality in me that you're saying.
Exactly.
When
Love
you're
that.
allowed, you're like, no, I'm just being assertive. Okay? So let's have ways in which women can be able to respond with humility also. So not with pride. So empower women. Empower them politically. Let's empower them in terms of socially, economically, and I also believe empowerment more religiously. The church also can be an instrument that can be used to bring down women. When they read for you Ephesians 5, they tell you that women is not supposed to speak in church and all that. How we interpret these verses again. Let's bring on board our community leaders, the church leaders, and everybody on board to be able to push now the agenda of supporting the girl or the woman.
Thank you. Yeah, everyone just summed it up. But for me, I'll just say, let's have our duty bearers doing their work. We have so many policies that are there to protect us as women. Look at all the African countries. There is a policy
Yeah.
Like more than 10 talking about something to do with women and to do with gender. So can we now implement the policy? We are done writing them. We are done discussing them. Let's now start implementing them. Let our law enforcers start using the law correctly when it comes to women and gender. Let's not victimize women and girls when things happen to them, right? Let's take them as survivors and let's build them up.
Yeah.
And I feel that's it, because everyone just said everything.
And the last point would be, you said it, create awareness.
Yes.
Because you create awareness to everyone, it will create a safe space for all of us, not only women and girls, but for also the male gender.
Yeah.
So awareness is key.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, for availing yourselves, for creating time to be here, for your opinions, insights, and comments in this discussion. And thank you for the audience for being here, for listening to us. And we hope you'll use whatever we've discussed here to implement it in the society. Have a good day.